Hello and welcome to the Dan Wolfson vlog on www.youtube.com. Today I'll be discussing stimulant in their various forms that I tend to gravitate towards, as my medications are a bit sedating. I do have lived experience with a major mental illness, in my case schizophrenia, and I take an atypical antipsychotic. I take a mood stabilizer, anticonvulsant, anti-migraine drug, all in one. I also take famotidine, the antihistamine, I think, indigestion medication, and an asthma inhaler, albuterol sulfate, as well as blood pressure medications. It's a fine balance because at first, early in my course of treatment, I didn't really use any stimulants. I drank maybe orange juice or water in the morning, and didn't even drink that much fluids during the day. I was pretty healthy. I was a young buck early in my 20s. But a very accomplished, world-renowned psychiatrist at McLean noticed that I was drowsy in her meetings with me when I was in the partial hospitalization program, kind of a stepping out of full inpatient treatment. And she said, maybe you could drink a coffee. So me and my dad went to Starbucks and would get a very strong cup of Joe in the morning, whether it was Venice, Italy, or Komodo Dragon, or Guatemala Antigua, or Pike's Place. You know, those coffees was like traveling around the world, and it got me into coffee. A lot of people that were in my day treatment program were coffee drinkers. Many also at the time, early 2000s, were cigarette smokers, although now I am in a psychosocial clubhouse, and I would say that most of the members of my clubhouse don't smoke. The people that do, it offers them some reprieve that they're looking for, but there's not really an advantage, which really hits home, because I did start using nicotine cigarettes, and at one point, like say I was working full time at a hot dog restaurant, and full time, work 8 hours, go to bed. Really didn't want to work the next day, so went to the convenience store, bought nicotine cigarettes, and smoked a couple, threw the rest of the pack out. I wasn't too into it, but slowly over time the habit kind of built, and it's not particularly a good habit. It can be a coping strategy, harm reduction for people that have intrusive thoughts, but including myself, it has the potential to be something of a harm reduction strategy. Also, if sleepless at night, it can be a thing to do because you just can't sleep. It's not ideal by any means, and I don't recommend it. But I think through my Starbucks use, my then Dunkin' use, the nicotine cigarettes, eventually I ventured into the world of energy drinks, which can have scary results of extremely high levels of nervousness, anxiety, shakiness, racing heartbeat. Um, I remember that I was in a state of health where I couldn't experiment with um, Karo, which is a corn sugar syrup used in baking, kind of like molasses. But one of the most prolific bicycle racers of his time in New England, Amos, was very poor for much of his career and would use Karo instead of the gel packs. And I tried it one day, used a bit. I felt the strength of the sugar going straight to my legs. But as a result, I think it was maybe the next day, I felt like I was going to have a stroke. So I took a long walk. Luckily, I had some food stamps, and I loaded up on strawberries and watermelon to try to pulse the oxygen through my hurting blood vessels and arteries. And so if you've been using cigarettes, and if you're currently using high doses of caffeine, sometimes the energy foods like the goo packets, the any number of the energy packets targeted at endurance athletes can be a little bit problematic, as they contain high doses of glucose and sometimes caffeine. So you have to be in a very healthy state of affairs physically and mentally to take the abuse of some of those sugar supplements. So as soon as I moved into my own apartment, this being it, I was cooking hamburgers, the Bubba's burgers. I was making stir-fried chicken with peppers and onions and garlic, and having some fun. And making chocolate chip cookies, Toll House chocolate chip cookies, and having some fun. But eventually you got to do the dishes, and I'll get back to the stimulants in a second. But when you get to the energy drinks, it's a slippery slope. Like I said, anxiety, nervousness, heart palpitations, tremor, all can happen. And then you get addicted to them. So I'm at the point right now where sometimes just to walk 2 miles in the morning to get to my psychosocial clubhouse, sometimes I drink a Red Bull to finish up the trip after, for whatever reason, having a very deep night of sleep. I need the caffeine, and it's weird because now I'm on the nicotine replacement therapy most of the time, and sometimes the energy drinks, the coffee, and now I'm once again I'm on the melatonin to help me sleep, which is a fine medication to use, but you have to be careful. Do not try melatonin. Don't take my word for it. Take your doctor. Do not try melatonin with a drink of alcohol, as it's dangerous. It made me very sedated and tired, kind of, not able to walk in a straight line. And that was just after one drink of alcohol. I don't drink hardly anything as far as alcohol. So, be careful. And the lower dose of stimulants, so maybe a coffee in the morning, you may think that higher functionality level that eludes you can be won by cigarettes and caffeine. But the truth is, it's a slippery slope. It really is. And just wanted to clear that up. So, as far as you can go without energy drinks, double shots of espresso, large cafe lattes, coffee in the evening, cigarettes. Do the best that you can do. And if you have to leave a job, it's probably the better way to go than to up your stimulant tolerance so that you're just really just dragging yourself around by your bootstraps and hardly holding it together mentally. So cheers and have a good night.